And next, I'd like to invite our April 2018 Police Officer of the Month honoree, Brad Langley, to join me at the podium. Brad. So Brad recently made a lateral move within the agency to work as a detective in the Internal Affairs Unit. But prior to this move, he was assigned as an officer on our citywide Community Problem Response Team, also known as the CPR team. So today we are recognizing Brad for his hard work that led to apprehending a suspect who had been on the FBI's most wanted list since 2014. The suspect was wanted for trafficking more than 1,000 kilos of marijuana, and he had also ties to various street gangs throughout the United States. And on Wednesday, January 10th of this year, the CPR team was asked to assist federal agents who were tracking this fugitive from Miami. The FBI tracked the suspect into Duval County, where he switched vehicles in the Regency area. Following the exchange, it was determined that the suspect was in a rental vehicle thought to be a Chevrolet Silverado. Agents were able to track the suspect heading westbound on the Arkansas Expressway. And during this time, authorities stopped a vehicle traveling in that direction, but unfortunately, it was not the right vehicle. Meanwhile, Brad was setting up to monitor the traffic going into downtown via the Matthews Bridge when a Chevrolet Silverado passed him. Though he had only had vague information about the suspect, Brad noticed that the driver matched the description that he had been provided. Brad ran the tag and confirmed that the car was indeed a rental vehicle, which led him to conduct a traffic stop. During the exchange with the driver provided Brad with a driver's license from Missouri with a different name on it, and Brad noted that the name, height, and weight listed on the license did not match that of the driver. Brad then requested backup, and the FBI agents responded to his location, where they positively identified the driver as the wanted individual. The suspect was ultimately taken into custody without incident. Police Lieutenant Justin Wilson said this: Officer Langley is to be commended for his proactive response with the limited intelligence provided. Brad, I have to tell you that's great work, and I commend you on your efforts in partnering with other agencies to get these known felons off our streets, and I'm honored to present you with the April 2018 Police Officer of the Month Award. So the Police Officer of the Month Award is sponsored by Nimnik Chevrolet, our friends there, and I'd like to invite Tim Howell to the podium. Tim.
First off, I'd just like to say that the Chevy Silverado that was used in that from Nimnik Chevrolet. But I would like to say how much we do appreciate your hard work and dedication, not only to the JSO, but also to the citizens of Jacksonville. So on behalf of everyone at Nimnik Chevrolet, I would like to present you with, get rid of that, with this plaque and a token of our appreciation. Thank you very much.
Brad, you have some family here with you?
Yes, Lieutenant, my
Mother and his old lieutenant and his current intelligence or internal family. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for coming. So our next honoree of the day is our April 2018 Corrections Officer of the Month, Kenneth Vaughn. Kenneth, join me at the podium. So Kenneth is assigned to work at the Montgomery Correctional Center, also known as our prison. So more specifically, for the past 2 years, he has worked as the Supply Warehouse Operations Officer. And today we are recognizing Kenneth for his attention to detail and for exemplifying the Sheriff's Office core value of community focus. In December of last year, while Kenneth was off duty and driving on the highway, he noticed a silver alert message on the Florida Department of Transportation's electronic display boards. Shortly after seeing the message, Kenneth observed a vehicle at a gas station and was able to make contact with an elderly driver. Kenneth notified authorities and remained with the gentleman until an officer from the Baker County Sheriff's Office arrived on scene. Ultimately, it was confirmed that the individual was indeed the missing person from St. Augustine that had been displayed on the board, and I'm happy to say that he was reunited with his family. And that's just one example of Kenneth helping his community and getting involved. A while back, Kenneth helped our homicide detectives make contact with one of his neighbors following a murder in an area that he's familiar with, and this led to the positive identification of the suspect, who was later arrested and convicted of that murder. Corrections Sergeant Terry McWhorter said this, and I quote, "Kenneth is a professional and sets a fine example both on and off duty. He continually goes out of his way to make a difference and is passionate about his duties." So Kenneth, I applaud you for your willingness to get involved and encourage you to keep up the good work, and congratulations on earning this month's Corrections Officer of the Month award. So the Corrections Officer of the Month award is sponsored by J.M. Family, and I'd like to invite Randy Bowman to the podium. Randy?
Hey, on behalf of the JM Family Enterprise and the Corporate Security Office, I want to congratulate Officer Vaughn for his dedication and service to the community, and present him with a gift tin set and a gift card from JM Family. Also, having retired from law enforcement, it's also equally important to notice the spouses and family members of law enforcement who, without the support of your family, you wouldn't be able to do the job that you do. So, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I got my dad's here, my wife, son, my father-in-law's here, and then my MCC family's about half of that.
Awesome. Thank y'all for that. All right, next I'd like to invite our Police Supervisor of the Month to join at the podium with Jamie Eason. Please join at the podium. Jamie. Aside from bringing her own fan club this morning, she is a supervisor on patrol, and more specifically, she is assigned to work in Zone 4, which is located on the west side of the city. So today, Jamie is being recognized for her leadership role during several instances that took place in the fall of last year. On Thursday, October 12th, officers responded to a carjacking near Lenox Avenue, and in this particular case, there was still a victim in the passenger seat of the stolen vehicle. So arriving officers quickly gathered information from the driver and disseminated the details to patrol through a Be on the Lookout or a bolo. So when Jamie arrived on scene, she met with the driver and obtained the passenger's phone number. Jamie made contact with the victim and learned that she was in the car with the suspect at a gas station on Lane Avenue. And she also learned that the victim was not able to leave the situation. So Jamie provided this information to officers canvassing the area. Two officers attempted to conduct a traffic stop on the vehicle, but the suspect fled the scene, resulting in a pursuit. So while monitoring the pursuit, Jamie provided calm, concise feedback to the pursuing officers. At the termination point, the suspect fled on foot, and Jamie assisted with apprehending this carjacking suspect. So following the successful conclusion of this case, Jamie worked with detectives to ensure that the proper documentation was accounted for and completed. So 10 days later, on Sunday, October 22nd, Jamie and one of her officers followed up on a sexual battery case involving a teenage victim. The two conducted interviews and developed a possible lead on a suspect. And when they met with this potential suspect, Jamie utilized her training and experience to gain valuable information in reference to that case. And ultimately, the individual was subjected to a photo spread, which led the victim to positively identify the attacker. Due to Jamie's investigative efforts, evidence that the suspect was in possession of was preserved, and the suspect was arrested and charged with kidnapping and sexual battery. During another call, Jamie was credited by her immediate supervisor for assisting at the scene of a crash with injuries where the suspects had fled the scene on foot. Police Lieutenant Chris King said this: "Sergeant Eason continues to lead by example within Zone 4 and with their squad." He went on to say that furthermore, she will assist officers that are dispatched to calls without a backup officer. And on numerous occasions, she has been heard on the radio taking calls for officers that are asking the dispatchers for permission to eat and are unable to do so because of the holding calls for service. So Jamie, I want to thank you for continually going above and beyond and for your dedication to the citizens of our community. Keep up the great work, and I'm honored to present you with the April 2018 Supervisor of the Month Award. Congratulations. So the Police Supervisor of the Month Award is sponsored by Stein Martin. I'd like to invite Nestor Duarte to the podium. Nestor.
Thank you, Sheriff. On behalf of Jay Stein and all the associates at Steinbart, it's our privilege to recognize Sergeant Eason for her fine work, not only for this month, but I'm sure for every day that you help us keep us safe. So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, they're in the back.
Thank y'all for coming. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Let's give them a round of applause. So if you follow the news at all, you've seen that we've had quite a few retirements in the last several years here at JSO. And this year, I will hire as sheriff the 500th new officer in 3 years in the agency. So that's why examples like the work that Jamie does day in and day out are so important. So many new young officers, so many young impressionable officers, and to have a supervisor like Jamie to be out leading by example is tremendous work. So Jamie, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, so this next duo will each be receiving a certificate of commendation for their teamwork that has resulted in getting violent suspects off our street. So with that said, with Detective Doug Smith and Detective Ken Waskey join me at the podium. So these two recently made a lateral move within the agency to work in the investigations division. Doug, raise your hand, Doug, is currently assigned to work in the robbery unit, and Ken is assigned to work as a detective in our aggravated battery unit. And today they are being recognized for their work when they were on patrol in Zone 2, which includes the Arlington, Regency, and Fort Caroline areas of the city. So starting in June of 2017, these two officers began working together in a task force capacity where they were regularly called upon to assist the investigations division with cases. From June through December, they served more than 32 burglary warrants, in addition to a warrant for organized crime and 62 counts of retail grand theft. They also assisted with the investigations and arrests in numerous cases ranging from armed robbery and armed carjacking to sexual battery and murder. During this time period, Doug and Ken's hard work resulted in 72 felony suspects being arrested. Some of these suspects were taken into custody on multiple charges. So in total, there were 165 felony offenses that were addressed by these two officers. Police Lieutenant David Hall said this: "They have become known citywide as two officers that can be given any task, big or small, and it will be handled quickly and efficiently." He went on to credit their relentless pursuit of violent suspects and ability to work as a team. So Ken and Doug, I want to thank you for all of your hard work and dedication that you put into resolving these cases. You are, again, an example to your peers, and I want to encourage you again to keep up the great work and good luck in your new assignments. Congratulations. Aggravated battery unit back there. Robbery unit. You got outwooed over here. Look out now. Congratulations, guys. Thank y'all. So I say this a lot all around the community, but I say it because I believe we can't do our jobs without the help of citizens in this community. And our mission statement even says to serve and protect in partnership with our community. So for the next award of the day, I'd like to present a certificate of commendation to a member of our community. This individual is actually the approved veterinarian for our canine unit. Dr. Skip Heitman, please join me at the podium, Skip. So this is incredible, but Skip has been actually started treating JSO's service animals in 1979. So he may not actually work for JSO, but that's 38 years he's been an integral part of our team and is dedicated to helping to make sure our canines and horses receive the best care possible. So it's important to note that Skip's service is more than just treating animals for illness or conducting routine checkups. During the past few decades, Skip has responded to many crime scenes where one of our canines has been injured during the apprehension of a violent felon. And this on the scene care is vital as it allows the canine to receive immediate medical attention without having to move the animal, which may cause further injury. Skip often says that he has sewn up, stitched up, and repaired many dogs on the tailgate of his pickup truck and in the field, and that's true. In fact, team members have been known to rush their canine partner to Skip's private residence for treatment in his driveway when time was of the essence. And as a devoted member of the team, Skip trains with the canine unit so he knows what to do when he's at an active scene. And this also allows him to observe how our dogs function during routine exercises during their working environment. So Skip's goal is not only to make sure that the animals are healthy, but to see to it that they will have a long and successful career and lifespan. So Police Sergeant Charlie Boyd said this: his timeless dedication to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is invaluable, and his service is the glue that keeps our police service dogs active on the streets to ensure the safety of our citizens. So Skip, we couldn't do it without you. I want to thank you for being a loyal member of our canine team, and I'm honored to present you with a certificate of appreciation. Let's give him one more round of applause. So for our next citizen recognition of the day, I'd like to invite Mr. Brian O'Neill to join me at the podium. Brian? So today, Brian is being recognized for stepping in and helping one of our police lieutenants detain a suspect. On Wednesday, November 8th of last year, Police Lieutenant Victor Pacheco was off duty with his family on their way out of town on vacation. And prior to leaving the city, they stopped at a fast food breakfast establishment on the west side. In the parking lot, Victor observed an altercation between two individuals, and ultimately, a male suspect chased a female around a vehicle and then began striking her with his fist. Upon witnessing this, Victor exited his personal vehicle with his gun drawn and identified himself as a police officer. He then ordered the suspect to stop what he was doing and to get on the ground. The suspect refused and continued to strike the victim. Meanwhile, Brian was inside the restaurant and observed the struggle happening in the parking lot. And without any regard for his personal safety, Brian ran outside to help Victor detain the suspect. Ultimately, the suspect was taken into custody and charged with battery and resisting a law enforcement officer with violence. Police Lieutenant Evander Collier said this: had Lieutenant Pacheco and Mr. O'Neill not taken quick and decisive actions, the victim would have sustained more injuries and the suspect may not have been apprehended and arrested. So Brian, I want to thank you for getting involved and for helping Lieutenant Pacheco that day. Your assistance is greatly appreciated, and I'm honored to present you with this certificate of appreciation. Congratulations. trained investigator, but I'm gonna ask anyway. Do you have any family here? I just- Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks again. Let's give him one more round. All right, next I'd like to recognize individuals who have recently reached an important employment anniversary with the JSO. So celebrating 25 years of employment with the agency with the following individuals, please join me up here. I'll call all their names and we can, we'll clap for them when they all get up here. Police Officer Jimmy Beheda, Police Officer Sean Lindsay, Police Officer Ivan Pena, Police Officer Ron Arroyo, and Police Officer John Woodruff. Let's give it one more round of applause. All right, celebrating 20 years of employment with the agency with the following employees. Join me at the podium. Clerical Support Aide 3, Jody Harris. Clerical Support Aide 3, Teresa Anderson Wright. There's a theme going on here. ISM Project Manager Nancy Frazier. Police Officer Andy Latterman. Police Officer Richard Santoro. Police Sergeant Steve Rudliff. And Police Lieutenant Robert Turner. Let's give them one more round of applause. So for our next several presentations, I'd like to recognize those who were recently promoted within the agency. And with the following individuals, please join me at the podium. Security Guard Supervisor Jonathan Mess. Security Guard Supervisor Michael Pappas, and Human Resources Manager, Karis Mears. Please join me. Joseph, I'm going to start with you. So Joseph began working for the JSO as a security officer in November of 2008. And in March, he was promoted to the new rank, and he currently serves as one of our supervisors in our security unit. So Joseph, congratulations on your recent promotion and best of luck in your new role.
Awesome. So I know you have family here with you, your wife, anybody else? Lieutenant, my JSO family. Awesome. Good news. Thank you for being here. Congratulations.
All right, Michael is next. So with more than 15 years of service as a security guard here at JSO, Michael was promoted last month to the rank of supervisor, and he is essentially Joseph's counterpart on the night shift and works the opposite color squad. So Michael, congratulations on your promotion, and keep up the great work.
You have any family with you? Just JSO family. Let's give him one more round of applause.
So now I'll tell you about our newly promoted Human Resources Manager, Karis Mears. She began working in our Human Resources Division in July of 2014, and just last month she was promoted to serve as manager in this vital area of the agency. So Karis, congratulations and best of luck in your new role.
Just the HR JSO family. All right. Congratulations.
All right, as some of you may know, the second week of April is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. During this week, we take the time to thank our call takers and dispatchers who truly do serve as a lifeline between the people in need and our first responders here in this community. So these individuals are there day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And in fact, more than 1,495,000 calls were received in Jacksonville's 911 center last year. That's an average of more than 4,000 calls a day. So I say this not only to recognize these men and women for their service to the community and to this agency, but to also introduce our next speaker. Each year during the month of April, our Communications Center personnel select a Telecommunicator of the Year and a Training Officer of the Year, and those awards will be handed out this morning. So with that, I'd like to invite Assistant Chief of our Communications Unit, Adam Penley, to join me up here at the podium. Adam?
So like the sheriff mentioned, we do this to celebrate Telecommunicator Appreciation Week, and these awards are actually voted on by their peers in order to celebrate the co-workers and what they do for the agency and for the community. So can we start with Rick Eckhart, our Police Emergency Communications Officer of the Year. Please join us up here. So Rick is an example of the quote, "Duty means honoring what you signed up for." Rick retired from the Navy after 22 years. He joined the communications team in December of 1996, and after 22 years of service as a police emergency communications officer, he's looking forward to another retirement. His coworkers and supervisors have this to say about Rick. Rick is very knowledgeable and assists many of his coworkers in need of his wisdom. And I can personally tell you that's workplace wisdom and probably 22 years as a Navy man wisdom sometimes. He answers an enormous amount of calls and is often the top call taker of his 12-hour midnight shift. Rick is a professional and fully committed to answering call after call for those that are in need. He was once selected a civilian employee of the month by taking a call for a person that was unable to communicate, and while he was on the call, he put a plan together for her to be able to answer by pressing buttons on the phone. He was able to get the information that the caller needed, and that's just one of thousands of examples of calls that he's handled to help the community. It's an honor to work with Rick, and anyone around him is captivated by his spirit. He is a true asset to the communications team and will be truly missed when he retires in a few months. Rick, congratulations and thank you for your service to the community. Thank you, Rick. All right, can Mandy Simiday, Training Officer of the Year, join us at the podium? All right, so Training Officer of the Year is another honor that's voted on by peers. Training new employees to do this job is a special skill that requires patience, knowledge, and the ability to give people honest and constructive feedback. Mandy has been a member of the JSO Communications team since November of 2008, and her coworkers and supervisors have said this: "It is imperative that we have knowledgeable, trustworthy employees that are highly skilled in their job to train new employees. Mandy is one of those experienced employees that plays a vital role in communications. We have always been able to depend on Mandy for the often challenging but rewarding task of training. It takes a strong person to hear what we hear every day and then be capable of multitasking with a trainee on multiple computer screens at the same time. Mandy encourages her employees to put forth 200% effort with every telephone call or radio contact. She understands the needs for citizens and officers to have a voice that answers promptly and professionally." Mandy, congratulations and thank you for helping us make the future of JSO Communications.
So our communications team does a tremendous job day in and day out. They truly are the lifeline between the citizens in our community and our first responders getting there. If I would, anyone that works in communications, would you please stand up for me? Come on, don't be shy. Great job, thank you all. Okay, so for our last presentation of the day, I'm going to invite our accreditation team up here, and I will hand over the microphone to Diana Winland, who oversees our compliance section. Diana.
Good morning. Sheriff, I wanted to remind you that over the last year, we have actually gone through 5 assessments. Several of them have been annual, but many of them have been a multi-year process. This is a big accomplishment for this agency. So some of you may not know what accreditation is. Accreditation is a process by which we are evaluated. We are evaluated based on best practices that are set by bodies. Today we're going to talk about CALEA. And as you see in your handout, CALEA is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, and it's a national accreditation. It's a 3-year process that the agency goes through, and we've been going through this since 1995. This is our 15th, well, actually, this is our 8th reaccreditation. And it's actually a meritorious award, which means that we have accomplished this goal for over 15 years. It's a big thing in accreditation. I wanted to, first of all, before we talk about accreditation, introduce my team. We have accreditation manager for these last 5 accreditations, Sergeant Nick Bliss, Kelly Clark, our accreditation coordinator, Jen Malone, accreditation coordinator, and Sergeant David Harvey, who has been in accreditation for a long time. You probably recognize him if you've been around the agency. This process is their job to put together the pieces that are assembled by the people that work here every single day. So I need to thank a couple people that are here today, and that is the sheriff's staff that allows us to take advantage of subject matter experts throughout the agency. For the professional oversight unit and for my written directives team that puts the policies out there so everyone knows what they're supposed to be following and how to do their jobs every single day. The accreditation process is 3 steps. We have to assemble documents over 3 years, 384 standards, which actually equates to 1,100 rules that we have to follow. And when you count the documents, because that's our business, my business anyway, is counting, it's over 13,000 documents that are evaluated by assessors. They get them for a 45-day period, and then they come here. And they go around and they look at the agency, and they look at how we do evidence collection and how we write reports. They do ride-alongs. They go to the comm center. They look at how we do our job. Are we doing it the way we should be? Are we doing it in accordance with best practices? And as a matter of fact, we are. And I'm proud to present this award to you, Sheriff, to recognize the agency and everyone who comes here every day and does their job, writes those reports. And oftentimes without recognition, this is a way that we can say, yes, we're doing it according to best practices, and yes, we need to be recognized on a national level for what we do every single day. So Sheriff, here's our giant award. It's one of the biggest plaques we have, and we have many. You can see we have meritorious here, and we will proudly display this throughout the agency because you guys who work here every single day earned this award. We just put the pieces together. It's a puzzle, and we assemble it. But you doing your job every day in accordance with best practices is how this is earned.
Thank you
Congratulations.
so much.
One more presentation, and this is actually from Kalia. Sergeant Nicholas, this is our certificate of appreciation for all of your hard work in putting this together. This is not an easy task, assembling everyone to cooperate, especially during the 4 days they're here, but it's actually over the long haul. It's putting all the pieces together so that they can actually get an opportunity to prove that what you guys do. So congratulations, Nicholas. You're being recognized by Kalia for your hard work.
Hey, this, as Diana mentioned, this is a big deal in the law enforcement community, and we couldn't do it without, obviously, this accreditation team doing the hard work day in and day out. But what they're doing is proving what JSO does day in and day out. So, thank all of you who work day in and day out with us to make that happen. The work that you do in this community is what's being honored here today. So thank you so much for that. Outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's ceremony, and I would encourage each of you to share the stories that you hear here today. Those stories don't get out enough, unfortunately, but share what you heard today. Share it on social media. Talk about being here. Talk about, again, what you heard here today. We want people to hear about the good work that our men and women do day in and day out in this community. And I also want to take a moment to thank all our sponsors. Thank you to Publix, who provides the refreshments for the ceremonies every month, and is a great partner for us. And again, these ceremonies provide the agency with an opportunity to personally thank all of the people in our agency who do great work day in and day out. And of course, we value all of our corporate partners. Thank you for being here to make these events special for the families and the honorees. So following the ceremony, feel free to come up and take pictures. And in closing, again, I'd like to congratulate all of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office honorees, all the civilians who were honored here today, and thank you all for being here today with us too. And be safe. Thank you.